a $38 million bribe, casually sacking $11 billion from their investors, or simply running the biggest Ponzi scheme in US history for 2 decades. These are the crimes that sent these ultra-rich billionaires from a life of luxury straight to the slammer. And it seems that the Ponzi scheme is among the favorites. Ain't that right, Allen? Allen Stanford. Allen Stanford was a former Texas billionaire and the head of the Stanford Financial Group. At his peak, he was worth $2.2 billion. But that fortune was built on a house of cards, specifically a $7 billion Ponzi scheme. At one point, Stanford was knighted by Antigua, because if you're going to steal billions, you might as well slap a sir in front of your name to sound classy. He also funneled money into private jets, luxury mansions, and even sponsored Caribbean cricket tournaments. Who needs a yacht when you can buy an entire sport no one fully understands? But alas, like all great Ponzi schemes, his fell apart in 2009 when the feds came knocking. Stanford's empire crumbled faster than a house of cards in a hurricane, and he was eventually convicted of fraud and sentenced to 110 years in prison in 2012. Stanford tried to argue in court that his businesses were just poorly managed. With $7 billion of other people's money funding his lifestyle, it was hard to convince anyone it was just a minor accounting issue. Now, instead of jet-setting to cricket matches, Stanford spends his days behind bars. But look at it on the bright side. Now, he has just under a century left in prison. Hopefully these cricket matches he sponsored were worth it. But if you thought Stanford's fall from grace was wild, just wait until you hear about Rishi Shah, who managed to shake up Silicon Valley with his own fraudulent saga, Rishi Shah. Rishi Shah was once Silicon Valley's golden boy, co-founding Outcome Health and skyrocketing to a net worth of $3.6 billion before anyone could ask, hey, are those numbers real? Shah's health tech company claimed it was revolutionizing the industry by providing targeted ads to doctors in waiting rooms. What could go wrong with that? Well, a lot, especially if your business model involves falsifying financial metrics. Shah was out there telling investors, trust me bro, while his company's finances were more fabricated than a WWE plotline. At its peak, Outcome Health looked like the next big thing in tech, and Shah was living the Silicon Valley dream. Fancy parties, private jets, and more venture capital than anyone. But the dream crashed faster than a buggy app in 2023, when it turned out Shah had been cooking the books. Investors realized that the only thing being disrupted was their bank accounts, and Shah found himself at the center of a fraud case that would make even the most seasoned scammers blush. After being convicted of fraud and conspiracy, Shah went to court. Shah was sentenced to 14 years in prison, which is probably enough time to reflect on how disrupting financial laws wasn't the smartest business strategy. And while Shah's story is a wild ride of tech dreams turning into prison bars, it's just the beginning if you thought he was bad. Wait until you hear about Raj Rajaratnam, who managed to get even deeper into insider trading and managed to have a celebrity lobby for his early release. Raj Rajaratnam. Before his big fall, Raj Rajaratnam was the ultimate Wall Street power player, running Galleon Group, a hedge fund managing $7 billion. Known for making deals as slick as his designer suits. Raj Rajaratnam. Rajaratnam seemed to have everything under control, until the FBI showed up with wiretaps that revealed his secret weapon, insider trading. Turns out, his billion-dollar success wasn't just thanks to his smarts. It was also thanks to well-timed tips from corporate insiders, who were a little too loose-lipped. In 2009, the FBI swooped in, and by 2011, Rajaratnam was convicted of 14 counts of securities fraud and conspiracy, making it one of the largest insider trading scandals in US history. His strategy? He had CEOs and corporate execs on speed dial, feeding him valuable non-public information that helped him rake in over $60 million in illegal profits. Imagine having Wall Street cheat codes, except, super illegal. Rajaratnam was sentenced to 11 years in prison, a bit of a downgrade from his former luxurious life of private jets and Wall Street fame. But here's where things get even more interesting. Rajaratnam managed to serve time off his sentence, thanks to none other than Kim Kardashian. Yes, that Kim. She helped lobby for the First Step Act, a law signed by Donald Trump that allowed non-violent offenders like Rajaratnam to get out early. In 2019, after serving around 8 years, He was released to home confinement, finally free to enjoy what was left of his fortune. So, while Rajaratnam may have swapped his Wall Street office for a prison cell, he still had a soft landing back into luxury. But, if you thought his celebrity affiliation even in prison is crazy, wait until you hear about J.Y. Lee, the heir to the Samsung empire, whose political bribery scandal would make any corporate executive nervous. J.Y. Lee. When you're the heir to the Samsung empire, with a net worth of $7.9 billion, you'd think life would be pretty sweet. Just kick back and let the billions roll in, right? Not for J.Y. Lee. Instead of smooth sailing as the vice chairman of Samsung, he found himself tangled in a massive political bribery scandal that would make even the shadiest corporate executive raise an eyebrow. In 2017, Lee was caught up in a bribery scandal that involved giving $38 million in gifts to South Korea's then-president Park Geun-hye and her confidant. The goal? To secure government support for a merger that would strengthen his control over Samsung. Now, being the heir of a billion-dollar empire and pushing your luck in such a way for a merger is almost deserving of the Darwin Award. But I guess when you have $7.9 billion to spend, a $38 million gift is like offering bubblegum. Things quickly escalated when Lee was sentenced to 5 years in prison for bribery, embezzlement, and perjury. But because being a billionaire has its perks, the sentence was reduced, and after serving just 207 days, he was released on parole in 2018. You know, just a quick staycation in prison before hopping back into the boardroom. His return to Samsung was swift, and while many thought his legal troubles were behind him, South Korea had other ideas. In 2021, the court threw him back in jail, sentencing him to an additional 2.5 years. Lee's legal back and forth has become something of a national soap opera, mixing corporate drama with political intrigue. But being a tech mogul with billions to your name means that even after a stint in prison, you're still calling the shots at one of the world's biggest companies. Samsung stock barely flinched. If you thought J.Y. Lee's quick trip through the judicial system was a roller coaster, buckle up for the story of Thomas Kwok, who bribed his way into trouble but learned that not all billionaires can escape the long arm of the law so easily. If you found this video as helpful, don't forget to subscribe our channel for more excited videos.